Don't even need sunglasses today. It's a cloudy day. The last couple of days has been hot. 90s. Today I want to talk about internet options for RVers, especially full-time or very long-term RVers. I don't want to use any props or anything because I want to keep this somewhat short, and we'll see how I do. When we started, it was all dial-up. Okay, I get to stop. Okay, motorcycle's gone. Hot water heater's running. It's outside. We get to hear all kinds of sounds. Anyway, we had to dial up. We had a laptop computer with a phone connection. You plugged it in and you hooked it up to a phone line and you dialed up. Or you could use, sometimes some of the cell phones then you could hook up, they had a little special cable that would let you plug them in, and they would work like kind of like a dial-up phone, except your minutes were used. So if you were on for 5 minutes, you used 5 minutes of voice time. Those were slower than normal dial-up, but they worked. You could get text-based email. If you were really lucky, you could surf the internet a little bit, but it was very difficult. Then the main thing anybody used if they wanted something better on the road was satellite. Satellite internet was slow and persnickety and could be very frustrating to set up, especially when you moved, even with the automatic roof mounts, but they worked. And that's kind of what you used. Some campgrounds had Wi-Fi. Some campgrounds even had Ethernet plugs. So you go into the office with your laptop computer and you plugged in to an Ethernet port and you had reasonably high-speed internet. That was your choices. I mean, people didn't make big videos then because a lot of them didn't even have high-speed internet at home. Eventually, the cell phone companies decided that maybe they wanted to put more data out. Somebody decided, and they started coming out with 3G speeds. And these systems, and they even started coming out with devices that just supported the internet only. Often these were not a hotspot device. That came a little later. They were a little USB. They looked a lot like a USB thumb drive, get whatever you want to call them. Plugged them into your computer in a USB port, and the right drivers, and you got charged for your data. And they normally gave you 5 gigabytes a month, and a huge, some were 3, and huge overage charges. If you went over 5, you would normally pay through the nose, a lot more than you could want to even believe. Eventually they came out with little hotspot devices, which were like wireless routers that could let you use Wi-Fi. Pretty much now, it's hard to find the USB port plugs. You get MiFi devices. They call them jetpacks, they call them Wi-Fis, they call them MiFis. Some of those things are trademarks. And they worked in a lot of places. They don't work everywhere. A lot of people say they work, that Verizon works everywhere. We can tell you very bluntly that they don't. You might have to boost them with boosting equipment, and that's going through FCC mess right now. A few devices have finally come through the system and are getting manufactured, but the people were boosting strong enough to interfere with the cell phone signals in their area, and so they had to regulate it. And of course, once you regulate something, you have to get into testing and messes and anyway, we now use, every once in a while we find campground Wi-Fi works for us. Mostly it's terrible. Where we're sitting right now, we're a TangoNet system running off CenturyLink. It's okay speeds. Once you use, and they give you a code, and you hook up and you have to log on, and it doesn't work. It works with only some repeater devices. Mostly it doesn't work with repeater devices. You hook up with your computer, you put in your log on. I've had a TangoNet log on for years. And then you put the code in and you get a week of service. 500 megabytes a day. Then they slow you down until you get to 1 gigabyte a day, and then they slow you down so it's unusable. So I'm using it a little bit for some things, and then using my Verizon hotspot for the rest of it. And we, because we are internet junkies, carry an AT&T hotspot also. And we've been very glad to have it. There's places in the United States, I'm talking United States only, where Verizon does not have very good service or has no service. And AT&T has service. And the opposite is true. We've also attempted in the past to use a Sprint USB modem and found that it didn't help us very much. We know some people who've tried to use T-Mobile, and T-Mobile's got great service in cities and terrible service in a lot of other places. Campgrounds are not in the city, so when you're going to be on the internet, you have to be in a campground. Since the campgrounds are often not in the city, they often don't have very good internet service coming into the park. They might be able to get a cable modem or two connection for the park, and then you try to share that with 50 or 100 or 500 RVs, and you start getting in trouble. DSL doesn't come in. You normally can't. They're limited on what they can get. So a lot of people try to get into campgrounds and bitch about the Wi-Fi, but especially in rural areas, the Wi-Fi just can't build a very good Wi-Fi. They're going to pay a lot of money to put it up. They have to have support staff, and that's all going to be reflected in your rates. So if you really need internet, it's better to, and you're going to stay in campgrounds, it's better to supply your own and pay the bill. And we pay really buckle bucks for this stuff. We got a deal. We get 40 gigabytes a month with Verizon for the price of 20 gigabytes a month for Verizon. And when you go price that stuff, you will find it's not cheap. We use a mobile hotspot, a Wi-Fi device, because we use a mobile hotspot and Wi-Fi device because it pulls in the signal better than our Samsung Note 3 phones, and we don't have to be home to run it. It can be running. We can let something trickle and connect and pull in while we go off and do things. And we're paying an extra actually I think $10 a month. We got a deal on it, so it's normally 20 and we pay 10 for that. We have two smartphones. We use them on the same plan, so if we watch a video on a smartphone, it eats up this 40, but luckily 40 is plenty. We've got a 5 gigabyte AT&T plan for $50 a month, and it's just a hotspot. There's no phones, it's just a hotspot, and it's $10 a gigabyte over. So if we go over 5, we pay an extra $10. If we use 10, we pay $100 that month. We can get an $80 plan and have 10, but we don't use it enough to make it. What I normally do is a week before the AT&T rolls over, I normally switch this completely to AT&T and use it as hard until it's done. But they're definitely, unless we're going to one of those places we know the service is going to, or we don't really know and are unsure by looking at coverage maps. It's just a fun situation. And here, I didn't show you equipment, didn't do anything, and look how long it took me to tell you all this. And you probably aren't hearing anything you didn't already know. Thanks for watching. See you next time.